Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. It is a nice little Tuesday, Wednesday morning as we get into this one. Don't know what day it is, but most importantly, we do see that Bitcoin is on the path of continuation. So I wanted to speak about today what the sort of likely areas of interest are to be, and then of course, well, invalidations on the other side. So first things first, as always, I like to start off with the revisiting of the daily statistics right here. And as we can see, Wednesday is actually more or less a wash for Bitcoin with, or if I go over here to the daily, yeah, Wednesday is literally perfectly split 50-50 between positive and negative closures. Now, it does look like today's probably going to be more on the positive side. And for Wednesday, it actually does boast one of the higher return days for the positive side. In fact, it's the second highest day at 2.5% on all the positive closures versus just under 2% on the negative closures. So let's see what that would kind of look like in terms of an actual range for today's price action. And of course, right on over here, we can see from the open 2% up, or sorry, 2.5% to the upside would put Bitcoin closer to about 58,500. And about 2% to the downside would put Bitcoin closer to just under 56,000 bucks. So the likely range for today. Overall, I am still looking at this as continuation. Yesterday's price action did confirm something that we spoke about as well. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4 days close positively in a row. And so based off our run-up statistics over here, after four closures in a row, that is officially at the 84th percentile for consecutive green closures in a row. And you really only expect that sort of thing to be happening during important and well, meaningful breakouts. And this would fit the bill for that, I would say, with yesterday's closure especially. The maximum we've seen in a row was 10. Actually, let's go over here to the index and see what the full history on this one would look like. It's actually 14. It's actually 14. Crazy, man. Anyways, yes, so anyways, going on from there. Also, I did forget to mention this one yesterday. I was focused on the meta signals alert, which we spoke about, another one over here, but I wasn't recording during that time. Anyways, in this case, the 4-hour time frame for the Oracle Pro, let me get rid of this in the background, did fire off a strong buy signal. And I should also let you know that if you are watching this right now, the Krown VMP is officially live, which is essentially just an updated version of the Krown, or not the Krown, but the Jewel Lite. So if you had access to the Jewel Lite, all you have to do in order to receive this is you just need to delete it off your charts and then re-add it. And once you re-add it, it'll be under the name Krown VMP, and it'll have some added functionality. I'll post videos later today on how to use it, both on YouTube and also in the program itself, along with the strategy, just kind of like a cookie cutter strategy that you can use with it as well. But that is there and ready for you. And we'll be switching everything over, like I said, to Teachable. So it'll be a slow process, of course. Elsa kind of has to process it by hand, which she's doing a really, really good job of, but, it takes time. So do have a little bit of patience with it. It's going to, this is going to be like a multiple day, maybe even like a multiple week effort as we do get things switched around. Anyways, moving on now, I do want to get into the daily bands. So the daily HPDR bands did something of significance yesterday as well. It did close above the 50% range high, even testing pretty much around the 61.8 level, which we did say was a continuation target from that. And so again, for today, this actually kind of coincides pretty damn well with what we looked at on the daily statistics. Can Bitcoin come back and back test around the 50% range high? Yeah, it's possible, 56,000 bucks. But ultimately, I'm looking for Bitcoin to I would not be looking for Bitcoin to close below it today. If it does, that would be an invalidation, to be fair. And as always on this channel, I really want to differentiate this content from maybe other content that you see out there in talking about invalidation. So what am I trying to say? As long as Bitcoin is closing daily dildos above 56,000 bucks, upside is the more likely thing to be happening, and downside is limited right here. And then of course, if we do see Bitcoin close above the 61.8 level, which is kind of where price action is at right now, a little bit higher, 57,300, the high of the day thus far, basically, then at that point, the road is open towards literally 60,000 bucks. I know that these numbers sound crazy, and I agree with that, but at the same time, statistics are statistics, returns are returns, and rules are rules at the end of the day. So I'd be looking for at least a move somewhere around like 59, somewhere around here if that were to happen. Again, invalidation below, let's call it 55,900. So not necessarily 56,000 bucks, but 55,900 on a daily closing basis. Until then, all price action within this range right here likely leads towards one more try to the upside. Again, based off of the daily statistics over here, we do have the information, or we do have the sort of setup that you would expect in a pretty impressive breakout. Anyways, more to the point, I do want to get into the 5-day bands, which are going to be closing not tonight, but tomorrow night. We can see kind of a similar thing over here as well. In fact, this would be what you might expect to see on the daily, just already on the 5-day, which is a much more powerful time frame, obviously, but takes longer to play out, of course. And we do see that the 5-day time frame is as of right now above the 61.8 level. I think it's very likely it's going to continue to remain above there, or on closure. But to be fair, 54,400 basically. If Bitcoin were to come back down below there, okay, another damn good signal that this is a trap, and get ready for some big downside movements, probably back into the mid to low $40,000 territory. Again, always needs to be in validations for other side, because it's always a possibility, just maybe not a high probability. But in this case right here, the 5-day time frame, assuming that it does close above, or just anywhere above that level, somewhere into the low 60s is fair game. In the next few periods, perhaps. 786 level is currently at 64,300. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not saying that things have to trade back up there, no, but just anywhere within that range would kind of be fair game. Anyways, moving on now, I did want to show the monthly as well, because yesterday we spoke about this briefly, but today I want to go a little bit more in depth, especially as the monthly becomes closer and closer to the next closure. And in this case, we have about 1.5 days left trading in this month of February before we get into March. And several things are on the precipice of happening right here that we have not seen for a very, 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 very long time. To put this in perspective, last time that we saw what I'm about to talk about was November of 2020, and that is a monthly closure above the median, whilst the HPDRO is also having upside pressure on both the moving average and just the plot line. And in this case, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's going to get a free shot to the 50% level high right here, although that is what has happened the last few times we have seen it reclaim that region, namely over here in 2017, 2017 right here, and then also more recently right here, of course. But as you can see, that would be $97,000 as of right now. But more importantly, long term, that would really set in that Bitcoin's very likely not just to retest all-time highs, but probably make new all-time highs. Again, long term, maybe later this year, probably second half this year if I had to guess. But then again, things are happening much faster than what than realistically what I was looking for, especially in this past month of February. So fair enough, timing is always difficult, but that's why we have, hard price numbers to be going off of, or at least that's what I trust more in. Anyways, I want to take this a few steps further now, because what I did not talk about yesterday that I completely missed was this: the HPDRO is also going to, upon closure, confirm above the zero read. So that would be positive momentum plus volatility, with the moving average also having a positive slope. And we've really only seen this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in Bitcoin's history. And they've all kind of marked off some pretty impressive levels for Bitcoin. So let me just kind of get naked on these charts, because it'll make a little bit more sense. But I think the chart just kind of speaks for itself, right? Like this, basically. We can see that, the first iteration was September 2010, before Bitcoin just fucking blew its load to the upside. Second iteration over here was February 2013, again, blew its load to the upside, and very quickly after that as well. Same thing over here in 2017, again, big blown load to the upside, really in the next month. The only one that failed was 2019, in June 2019, that is, right here. You might say that, it might have been black swan territory, but I would also counter that point. I would counter that point by the positioning of the moving average on the HPDRO. You can see in this iteration, the moving average was way down here. So what does that tell us? It tells us that that momentum was so strong. It was the momentum in this iteration over here was so strong that we didn't even see the moving average get above the zero read. It was so fucking far away. So the short-term momentum was so strong that it was unsustainable. Whereas you can see the more recent ones over here, it's closer, and especially in 2017, closer. And so that was a more sustainable version. And, we kind of have some similar over here as well, where the moving average is very close to the zero read. In fact, it's one of the closest it's ever been, while it is crossing over into positive territory. So I'd say that also kind of bodes well for long term. Anyways, last point I'll end on for today's video. Again, you can easily see short-term pullbacks to 56, but ultimately, as long as daily stochastic momentum to the upside, which it is freshly crossing the upside right here and also about to reclaim the moving average, it's kind of hard to be bearish in the short term, and continuation is more likely in the next few days. Maybe a pullback on Thursday, as typically Thursday does like to close negatively, but pullback plus continuation is reasonable, especially after like some pretty girthy days to the upside anyways. But right now, the daily momentum pivot is 55,300 for reference. So, a lot of things coming in, just below 56 basically. I would say daily close below 56. Okay, fair enough. Bitcoin's going to play out a pretty sizable pullback in the short term, but until that happens, upside is a more likely thing to be happening, and we've gone over the areas of interest to be aware of, especially a big one for tomorrow night's closure on that 5 days. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, a lot of things that we spoke about here, but I should let you know that if you're watching this video later, this is being recorded during a live stream. I've switched around the live stream times while I'm here in Dubai. It will be at it will be at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So I understand that that's maybe not the best for like Europeans mornings, but they're Europors, so fuck them. Anyways, just kidding, okay? Just kidding, all right? It's a bad attempt at humor, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. But if you want to join it in, well, of course you can, because it's free to do and all good. Anyways, I'll end things on that note, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.